What is up, developers? Welcome back to the source. In this video, we're going to be wrapping up the blog Rails intro series to show you how to make a JavaScript floating UI pop down or drop down menu. Alright, so let's get into it. First thing, I'm just gonna make sure the changes aren't here. Okay, so this is how it was last time, and we created the content adding. That was cool. Now, let's turn this link into a drop-down. I'm going to open up the project and go to App, Views, Layouts, Application, and I'm going to start from scratch. So we're just going to remove that right here, and then create a new li and give it a class nav link, and inside a tag blogs, or just blog. Great. And then I'm going to line by line just make sure I got all the Bootstrap classes, because I've been mucking this up a lot. So class, oh, and then this one is the nav item. Okay, so nav link, FL button, this we'll get to in a moment. Drop down toggle. Alright, blog is looking good. And then there's some more Bootstrap we have to do, which is it needs to have a roll button, and then there's some accessibility stuff here. Okay, and now when your mouse goes over this, it shows that it's clickable. Great. Okay, then the next step would be to create the code for the drop-down menu. And we want it to run when there's more than one blog. I guess also I could add some text here. I just thought. And then I'm gonna add a div. Let's see, I think I'll just copy it to be safe. And then we're linking out to each block here. And then I'm going to end that div. Okay, so all this does is make sure we show the link to each of those blogs, make sure to give it to Bootstrap class drop-down item. Let's reload the page. It's not appearing yet because style display none is there, but we can see this is what that looks like when it shows. And that's cool, but it's still not doing that dynamic drop-down stuff, so that's what I want to code out next. If we go to the JavaScript controllers and then the drop-down controller.js, I'm going to add this controller in the source files so that you don't have to type this all out yourself. But basically, this is a stimulus controller, and the name of the file is what shows up in the views. So for example, data-dropdown, that's the name of that controller. What else is the name of the controller? When I go back here, data dropdown target, FL button. I'm going to add that here. Data dash name of the controller dash target. That makes the JavaScript of the Rails application know that this element is the FL button target. And then the LI actually also needs a data controller dropdown. And then this attribute tells the application that this element is what this controller is for. So if I reload the page, we see nothing happens yet. But if I make sure to give this a tag a action, so here's how I'll do that. Data dash action. Data dash action equals click. So this is the action, the JavaScript action, and then the arrow drop down. That's the name of the controller. And then the pound sign separates the name of the actual function in the drop-down controller. And this is what dd_click does. The menu target gets hidden or shown, basically, and I won't go into the details, but at the end it calls FL position, and this calls the floating UI. Right, about floating UI. Did I even get floating UI yet? So all of this depends on the replacement, or like the uprunner, I don't know, what do you call it, of floating UI. So floating UI comes from Popper.js, and the reason that Bootstrap and Popper don't work together is kind of related to this, but floating UI does work, and I've tested this code. So we just need to pin those libraries like this: bin importmap pin floating UI core, bin importmap pin floating UI /DOM. And then if you go to your application and then config and then import map, you'll see there's been 4 pins that have been added. The utilities for core and DOM, and core and DOM are there too. So if I reload the page, you can't really see what's gone differently, but basically there's no errors, so we're importing the modules correctly. Alright, next step. Let's see. What am I missing? So this is the FL menu target, and this should be working. dd clicked. Let's see the page real quick. Oh, it was working. Okay, but it's breaking the CSS. So the way to fix that is we need to set some positions in the CSS for this FL menu object to begin with. So I also saved some of that CSS over here in this file, and I've created a silver background that I'll be using for this menu. So I'm going to copy this stuff, and I actually don't need this. Just copy this and add it to app assets style sheets application right at the top here. I'm going to save that and reload the page. Alright, okay, so now it's rendering at the top there the way we expect it to, and it works. The only problem is it's always showing, and that's not what we want, because I removed that style equals display none. Alright, so that fixes it up, because floating UI is super neat. It figures out where this menu needs to go based on the parent element. And And if you want to learn more, just go to floatingui.com and go through some of the tutorials, or just like browse their documentation. And then stimulus for how to implement this JavaScript in your Ruby on Rails 7 application. Alright, that was all for this video, developers. I am wrapping up the blog Rails intro series with this JavaScript video, and I hope you enjoyed this series, and I hope to go for some cool projects in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.